Welcome to the Live.Stock podcast, our podcast of the Beef and Forage Center. I'm Bruno Pedreira, Center Director and an Extension Forage Specialist, joined today by Dr. Katie Mason, our UT Extension Beef Cattle Specialist. How are you doing today, Dr. Mason?
Great. Ready for another podcast.
Yeah, today I'm very thrilled because we have here with us Jennifer Houston, owner and operator of the East Tennessee Livestock Center in Sweetwater, Tennessee. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's awesome. Jennifer served as the 2019 president for National Cattlemen's Beef Association, has been helping us at UT for, long time. Very dedicated leader in the livestock industry across the state of Tennessee. And we're very happy to have you to this livestock conversation today.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. There's a lot to talk about. Lots going on right in the beef industry. So let's just kick off by talking about cattle prices. There's been a lot of movement lately in cattle prices. They've been pretty high. So tell us about on the local level what you're seeing at the market and how producers in East Tennessee are responding.
Well, obviously, very excited. Sort of like 2015 when I'd have people come to the market and say, I've never seen prices like this, which was true then, but it's even more so now. We're seeing record prices. Producers are excited, but they're a little torn also. It's a harder decision about whether to hold back heifers or whether to sell them when you're getting the kind of prices they're getting. It's awfully inviting to sell your heifers, but yet they know they want to stay in the industry. They want to stay in the cattle business. So there's a little conundrum in with all the good news. But as I tell my farmers, enjoy it because prices, as one economist told me one time, are like airplanes. They've never stayed up. So and do your planning. And what I tell people is still do the good things that you need to do, whether prices are high or whether they're low.
Yeah, that's right.
That's good. Yeah, and living as livestock producers, we know that, right? Prices they go up and go down, and we need to live with them as they are. You were president of NCBA when Mr. Trump got his first term in 2019, 2020. And at that time, we opened the markets a little bit more than we used to have in US. What do you believe that's going to be the focus for this second term now? Do you think that we are going to have more market openings as well? How does it affect prices internally in Tennessee and in the US?
I think it's going to be an exciting time. It's definitely a different type of administration. We did open a lot of markets. We opened China. Now the tariffs have thrown a little bit of a different wrench into it. So far, it's not really affecting prices in the U.S. or in the South that much. The one that had the potential to was if we hadn't kept with the abide by the USMCA, the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. That would have had a lot more impact of us, as that's probably two of our top five markets. Nevertheless, we're going to work within that and continue to working. The biggest thing that NCBA, National Cattlemen's Beef Association, works on during this is basically to tear down the non-tariff trade barriers, things that are not based on science but have kept our cattle out of the market, particularly the European market. We've been working really hard, even under the last administration, as an industry, to get a trade agreement with Great Britain. So we're having some movement on that. So that's exciting. Some non-traditional markets as we grow and as these countries have a larger middle class. We know that they want a higher quality of protein, and obviously the highest quality protein is beef.
Yeah, that's right. And that's something I try to emphasize in my class with my students is not just understanding local beef production, but how all of this impacts each other, right? So tell us a little bit about what other things NCBA is working on right now.
Oh gosh. And we have an office in DC that are working on our beef producers' behalf 24/7. 365 days a year, and things are hopping in DC. As you can imagine, even if you barely read the newspaper, it's always a new day in DC. But the biggest thing now is what they call reconciliation. And so the House just passed a reconciliation amendment that very close, but it really keeps most of the things that mean a lot to beef producers. One of the most exciting things for us is that it not only keeps the estate tax exemption, but it raises it to 30 million per couple or 15 million per individual and makes it permanent. Oh, wow. We've been working administration to administration, bill to bill to keep extending it, but that's really exciting. It also keeps things that are important to farmers, stepped up basis, 20% depreciation, full depreciation for 5 years. So a lot of things, especially tax packages, a lot of conservation elements. So a lot of things that really mean for us are in that House bill. So now House has passed it, goes to the Senate. The Senate obviously will have some amendments, but one of the great things about reconciliation is it only takes 51 votes to pass. So that really lowers the hurdle in the Senate. So we're anxious to see what's going to come out with their amendments. Hopefully we can keep all of our things that mean a lot to us in the bill.
Yeah, and so we were talking earlier about some of the big hot topics right now for NCBA, and one of those is screwworm, right? And funding around that, and kind of how we're going to approach that. So tell us about what your thoughts are on, is this going to be a problem for us in the future?
I think it definitely could be. We're very vigilant. We don't have screwworm money in the reconciliation packages, but we do have some bills before the Senate, so they could come through. We are sending $21 billion to Mexico to convert a sterile fly facility, because that's really the only way to control them. That's how it's eradicated many years ago. There is a facility in Panama. It just can't keep up. So I think we have to stay vigilant. We supported the closing of the border at NCBA to keep that till we really get a handle on it. So it's one of those things that would have the potential to really mess with our good prices, as well as any other black swan events, I call them, things that we can't really plan for. But on the other hand, it's not right now, but we do need to be vigilant. USDA has information. Our Tennessee Department of Agriculture has been passing out information at the markets about what to look for about wounds, and it's basically open wounds in your cattle. And it works differently than other, when you're going to get a lot of information about screwworm. But NCBA is very vigilant. We want to get the funding that we need to try to keep it below our southern border.
Yeah, no, those are all things that will for sure impact what we do in livestock in Tennessee and the US, right? And looking ahead, Jennifer, I know it's all the stuff to talk about prices in the future, right? But you do this 24/7 for some time. So what are your expectations for cattle price, at least throughout the rest of this year, with the scenario you have right now? What do you think we are going through?
Oh, I think we're in a good place. Again, barring something really bad happening that we can't. Cattle numbers are the lowest they've been in about 70 years with our cow herd inventory. So all the basics. Demand is extremely high in the U.S., which is great. Even though you see the prices in the grocery store, demand is still high. Demand internationally is still high, even with all the tariffs and that type thing. Our exports are still so important to the beef industry. So every animal that's sold to be harvested, about $400 plus, $415, I think is the last one I saw, is due to export. So we've got to keep those markets open. And that really means a lot, because that trickles down to what feeder cattle bring. And that's what really is important to Tennessee producers, is what their feeder cattle bring. And it certainly has made a difference. So we're just tickled that demand. I think our beef checkoff has been part of that, as well as the numbers and the thirst that we have for protein, which is great, because ours is the best there is.
That's right. Yeah. So, is there anything else about NCBA that you want to mention before we pivot and start talking about your work with UT?
Not just that a lot of people don't understand, but NCBA is truly a grassroots driven organization. As an officer and as our staff, there's nothing we can do that doesn't come from policy from the producers. So we're coming up on our summer business meeting next July, at which time policy that comes up from the states, which usually originated in a county or region, is voted on. And whatever that policy is voted on is what we will actually carry out as staff and as the officers of the organization. So it's truly grassroots driven organization. And that's really, I think, what people need to take away.
It shows the importance of being involved with, right? To be able to make decisions that will affect yourself tomorrow.
Absolutely. Yeah. Attend your county meeting, attend your regional meetings, attend your state meetings, because it does make a difference. People think it doesn't, but it does, because usually if you have an idea, there's people that feel the same way, and that's how policy starts.
Yep, that's right. Getting involved at the local level. So again, we're going to transition a little bit to your involvement with UT. We're really, happy to have you on our advisory council for the UT Beef and Forage Center, and we have meetings and try to get feedback from folks. And so, what is something that UT Beef and Forage Center could kind of step up and deliver, or do a little bit better, or something new that they could do to help serve Tennessee?
I think number one, they do a good job. It's hard to really say a particular thing. I think they need to be involved. I think Bruno certainly heard me talk about things that could help stocker cattle operators, such as drone. We got to be real drone delivery of medicine or even checking the cattle. We got to be cognizant. Most of my producers are older. A lot of them don't have help. A lot of times they don't have facilities. So whatever we can do to really think about not just how things should be ideally, but how our producers are having to work in the field. So less hands-on, more auto delivery, just more real life help. And not that we don't do it. Extension and Beef and Forage Center does a great job. For example, last year in the drought, what can we do? We've got a drought. How do we minimize its effect on our cow herds? And we did a little bit of that. So I think that's a great thing. Beef and Forage Center and then held out through Extension can help the farmers and just try to be more immediate. Sometimes universities don't move as quickly as we would like them to.
Yes.
But when things are happening, heaven forbid we have screwworm or something, getting information out immediately. Podcasts, this is a great way of keeping involved with the farmers, but other ways to try to stay really current with what's going on in Tennessee.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. And I think that one of the things that we do best here in the Beef and Forage Center is to have the advisory board, right? To be able to have you guys around and listen and learn and understand what's going on in the field. We do a lot of farm visits and we try to get involved with farmers. But yeah. And I'm very glad that we just hired someone that will start to work more on the technology side of it. We have been dealing with drones a little bit. We just got a new legislation within the UT as well that we cannot use the drones that they're not producing in the US. That trickle us a little bit because it increased a lot of our cost to buy stuff. A drone that I could buy with $10,000 now is going to cost me 48. So we need to work more on the US based products as well to be able to deliver it a little bit more. But I hope we'll have more coming soon.
It's exciting. Exciting.
Just a really quick and aside before we start to wrap up, I teach beef management and you have graciously been a guest lecturer in there. So thinking about the students that we're preparing for the industry, where do you see maybe some knowledge gaps or some information that we need to share in that beef management and even other classes to get them prepared for being in the industry?
If I had to pull out one thing, probably it would be, practical experience. I think getting out on field trips is great. Going to the farm, as we know, the majority of our animal science graduates or animal science students are not necessarily raised on a farm. And they've got to have that practical experience. Where they end up in vet school or where they end up in a feed company or drug company or some kind of related ag credit, whatever, they need to really know what's going on, because if you don't have credibility with the farmers. No matter what your degree is, you've got to have that credibility with the farmers and ranchers you work with. So I think continuing to increase that practical knowledge with the students that we have will hold them in good stead. Plus, we do a great job at UT with internships, and I think that's so important. That wasn't necessarily a part of the university when I was here quite a while ago. We didn't think about it, but again, another way for them to get practical knowledge about the industry before they enter the workforce.
Hands-on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Jennifer, thank you so much. Today we had the pleasure of speaking here with Jennifer Houston, owner and operator of the East Tennessee Live.Stock Center in Sweetwater, Tennessee. Jennifer, again, thank you for making time in your busy agenda to be here with us in this Live.Stock podcast.
Well, thank both of you. It was enjoyable.
Awesome. Well, hope you guys like it and join us for the next month podcast with another beef and forage conversation. Thank you.